They cut stones to a tolerance modern lasers can't match. No mortar, no machinery, no written language to pass down instructions. Yet somehow, 3 massive walls stand in Peru today. Each stone weighs up to 200 tons. They fit together so perfectly you can't slide paper between them. The Inca built Sacsayhuaman, according to every history book you've read. But the Inca had no iron tools. They had no wheels. They couldn't even write down their building plans. So how did they move stones the size of houses? How did they shape them with such impossible precision? And why do the Incas' own legends say they didn't build it? You stayed because something feels wrong about the official story. You're right to question it. What you're about to discover changes everything we think about ancient technology. By the end, you'll see why archaeologists refuse to address the real evidence. And you'll understand what this means for human history itself. Because if the Inca didn't build Sacsayhuaman, someone else did. Someone we've been told never existed. The fortress sits above Cusco at 12,000 feet elevation. Spanish conquistadors arrived there in 1533. They saw walls made of stones weighing more than 200 tons each. One chronicler wrote that demons must have built it. No human could move such massive blocks, he insisted. The Spanish were master builders themselves. They had conquered half the known world. Yet they stood before Sacsayhuaman completely baffled. Pedro Sancho described stones so large that no one who sees them would say they were placed there by human hands. The largest stone weighs approximately 200 tons. That's the weight of 40 elephants. Modern cranes struggle to lift loads that heavy. The Inca had no cranes. They had no metal tools harder than bronze. Bronze can't cut the andesite rock used at Sacsayhuaman. Andesite ranks 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. You need something harder than the stone itself to shape it. The Inca didn't have it, so mainstream archaeology claims they used other stones as hammers. They supposedly pecked away at 200-ton boulders for months. Then they somehow moved them miles from the quarry. Then they lifted them 12 feet into the air. Then they fitted them together with microscopic precision, all without blueprints, since they had no writing system. Does that sound remotely possible to you? Here's where the story gets stranger. When Spanish soldiers asked the Inca who built Sacsayhuaman, they didn't take credit. The Inca said a previous race of giants constructed it. They called them the Huari. According to Inca legend, these beings possessed knowledge now lost to us. They could soften stone like clay. Chronicler Garcilaso de la Vega recorded these accounts in 1609. He wrote that the Inca themselves marveled at the construction. They worshipped it as the work of gods. Why would a civilization claim they didn't build their greatest monument? But here's what they don't tell you in school. The walls at Sacsayhuaman show clear evidence of 2 construction phases. The lowest megalithic stones exhibit the impossible precision. The upper stones, added later, are crude by comparison. They're smaller, rougher, clearly made with inferior technology. Archaeologists admit the Inca built the upper sections, but they insist the Inca also built the lower megalithic walls. The evidence says otherwise. The tool marks don't match. The precision doesn't match. The engineering philosophy doesn't match. It's like saying the same person built a smartphone and a flip phone. We can examine the physical evidence right now. First pillar, the polygonal masonry. These aren't rectangular blocks stacked in rows. Each stone has a unique irregular shape with multiple angles. Some stones have 12 distinct faces fitting against 12 different neighbors. The joints curve in 3 dimensions. Engineers today can't replicate this without computer modeling. The Inca had no computers, no drafting tools, no measuring instruments, yet every angle matches perfectly. Second pillar, the surface analysis. In 2018, researchers used laser scanning on the stones. They found tolerances of less than 0.5 millimeter. That's the width of a human hair. Modern stonemasons achieve maybe 2 millimeters with power tools. These stones, supposedly shaped with river rocks, exceed modern capability by 4 times. Geologist Dr. Robert Schoch examined the weathering patterns. He determined the lower megalithic sections show far more erosion than upper sections, not centuries more, potentially thousands of years more. Third pillar, the vitrification mystery. Parts of Sacsayhuaman's stones show signs of extreme heat exposure. The rock surface has melted and rehardened. This requires temperatures exceeding 1,100 degrees Celsius. No known ancient culture possessed such technology. Some researchers suggest a massive explosion occurred at the site. But who would attack a fortress with weapons that advanced? And when? The Inca have no records of such an event. Now we connect this to sites across the globe. Walls in Egypt, Lebanon, and Peru share the same polygonal style. They exhibit the same impossible precision. They use stones of similar massive weight. All these civilizations supposedly developed identical advanced techniques independently. All of them left no trace of how they did it. All of them told later generations that gods or giants built these structures. The pattern suggests a common source, a predecessor civilization that spread this technology worldwide. Graham Hancock calls it a legacy of the gods. Mainstream archaeology calls it coincidence. But coincidence doesn't cut stones to micrometer precision. In 1980, UNESCO declared Cusco a World Heritage Site. They called Sacsayhuaman a testament to Incan architectural skill. But they've never explained how the Inca achieved it. The official narrative relies on millions of man-hours, decades of pecking at stones with other stones, thousands of workers hauling blocks up mountain slopes on log rollers. Except Peru's terrain is too steep for rollers. And the math doesn't work. Engineer Jean-Pierre Protzen spent years trying to replicate the technique. He concluded it would take one person 600 days of full-time work to shape a single stone. Sacsayhuaman contains thousands of these stones. The timeline doesn't match the known span of Incan civilization. So what's the real story? Someone possessed technology we've lost. They could cut and move stones we can barely lift today. They built monuments designed to